Hey there. Okay, today we're going to talk about solving word problems. And I'm going to give you some strategies to kind of think about how to think them through. Because if you're anything like my students, when I say that we're going to work on word problems, they often have reactions that are like, ugh, or they say, I don't get word problems, or they say, I hate these. I hate word problems. Or sometimes they'll even say, like, this is stupid. Why do we have to do this? So these are all the reactions that we're used to having, but we're going to have a new rule, okay? Word problems, they're complex by nature. They're asking you to do math in a real world application, and that's not ever easy. But our new rule is that you're not allowed to respond to a word problem with any of the words from the previous screen anymore, okay? Because we're going to go through these new thought process, okay? And so until you've thought about it and done these easy steps, you can't respond with any of those things from the first screen, okay? Our new rules. So here are the strategies that I want you to try. I want you to ask yourself some questions. The first thing, what's the question? Or what am I being asked to do by this problem? Okay? The second thing I want you to ask yourself, what are my facts? What are the information that they've given me in the problem that I need to solve it? The third thing to ask yourself, what operation should I use? Am I going to add, subtract, multiply, or divide? The fourth thing that I want you to think about, after the first three questions that you've asked, you should be able to solve the problem. So you'll, at step 4, you'll go ahead and do that. And then the fifth thing to ask yourself, does my answer make sense? Does the answer that I've just figured out, does it make logical sense with what the problem was asking me? Okay, let's look at an example and ask ourselves these questions. So here's our word problem. Alex pays $612 in rent each month. How much rent does he pay for a whole year? So don't react, right? Don't have a negative reaction. Let's ask ourselves the questions from the previous screen. There's our problem again, okay? Number 1, what are they asking me? Well, and then I have to think about what are the facts. And then I'm going to ask myself, am I going to add, subtract, multiply, or divide? And then I'm going to solve. And then I'm going to ask myself, does this make sense? So let's do that. There's our problem again. What is the question? I can take it right out of the problem, right? How much rent does he pay for a whole year? It's all right there. Question 2, what are the facts? Well, they tell me that he pays $612 per month, right? And I know that there's 12 months in a year. See up here it says the whole year. I know that there's 12 months in a year. So that's a fact I bring to this problem. Number 3, what will my operation be? Well, Alex pays $612 each month, and each is a multiplication word. So I know this from my keyword chart, which you can get it from your teacher in class. So I know that I'm going to multiply. Okay, so now I'm going to solve. Okay, here we go. I'm going to solve this problem. I'm going to write out my information here again. 12 months. 612 each month. Oh, I'm running out of room here. Each month. Okay. So, and I know I have to multiply. So, I'm going to write out my problem here. 612 times 12. 2 times 2 is 4. 2 times 1 is 2. That's 12. Put my placeholder in. And there's my problem. I'm going to add those together. 4, 4, 3, 7. So that means $7,344 is my answer. Okay. We solved the problem. Does this answer make sense? Does that $7,344 make sense? And the answer is yes. I know that 612 is a little bit above 500, right? And 500 times 12 would give me $600. So, or I mean $6,000. So 7,344 is a little bit more than that. This answer makes sense. Okay, so to solve a word problem, we're not gonna react right away, okay? We're not Those negative thoughts will cause us to automatically shut down. If we think that we can't do math, then we won't be able to. So if you got to keep those negative thoughts away and ask yourself the questions, because that's the way to sort of open yourself up and make sure that you can solve these word problems. So we're going to take a deep breath and go for it, because you can totally solve word problems.